This is it, y'all. Episode number 30, episode 30. This is the Bleep Bloop podcast, or for short, Bleep Bloop. I am your host, Johnny B. I want to say thank you for tuning in. It means a lot to get to this number. We still got a long way to go. We're gonna get to the big 50, then the big 100, and we just keep it going. First and foremost, if this is your first time tuning in to Bleep Bloop, I want to say thank you for tuning in. Bleep Bloop is a gaming podcast where I like to talk about the gaming topics that are outside of the norm. What do I mean by the norm? Well, we're not going to talk so much about gaming news or headlines. We're not going to go over too many game reviews or anticipated games. Well, maybe. Hold that thought. But what we are going to talk about are those gaming topics that I can best define as those water cooler topics. You get around other gamers, you start what if scenarios, you start talking about these just grand ideas or perspective and opinions on things related to games. And that's what I'm here to do. Each episode, I try to dive into something, something specific, but in a general overview. I don't know if that really makes sense. But in any case, thank you for tuning in. If you want to find more of the content, go to bleepbloop.wordpress.com or bleepbloop.podcast.wordpress.com. That's my website. You can check out the latest and greatest episodes. You can also check out the blog where I have written content as well as some video content that is connected to my YouTube channel that goes by the same name, Bleep Bloop. Also, you can check me out on socials, Bleep Bloop Pod at Twitter, or if you want to just get a whole amalgamation of everything, go to Linktree/Bleep Bloop or Bleep Bloop Pod, one of the two, I always forget, and you'll be able to find all the links. Now, episode 30, driving games need love too. I won't even go back to the NES. I'll go to when it really impacted me. And I remember when I had the Sony PlayStation 1 and I played Gran Turismo. That game back then looked amazing. It was visually stunning. You had different cars that you could race. It was realistic, amazing tracks and geographic locations. The sound was dope, and it just went from there. The next game I remember that had a real impact, Need for Speed 2, Hot Pursuit. I would think it was 2. And I remember having that on like a demo, and you only had 2 levels you could play, and I was so good. I could find the shortcuts, I could always dodge the cops, and it just was fun. It was so much fun. I remember playing Midnight Club Dub Edition, and I would just spend hours in the garage, putting the dope rims on the ride, 20-inch wheels, candy paint, low pro, all the performance. But the performance really, to me, didn't matter because you just drove and then you go back to the garage to fix it up again. But somewhere along the way, it feels like that all just kind of disappeared. What's crazy is there's been so many games, racing games, or just car games specifically that have came out, but it just almost seems like they don't get the love that they used to get. Like they used to be like a staple of video games. Like, man, you got that latest GTA or Gran Turismo. I mean, hell, even GTA had some cool car upgrade mechanics. And with the mods that they do to GTA 5 now, you can practically drive all the top name brand cars inside the game. But driving games just, I feel like over the years, while they have they've still maintained their lane, I feel like it's become such a niche genre of games that it just doesn't seem like it gets as much popularity and fanfare as it once did. I mean, you look at the new Need for Speed that they are promoting that's coming out, and it just seems like people just aren't resonating with it. And I think maybe that for Need for Speed specifically, I think it's because it's tried a lot of different things and didn't just really stick to one formula and improve upon that. Like, if you look at the comparison between Forza and Need for Speed, Forza has kind of just stuck to the same thing, but they have a couple different IPs, so they're able to provide different content per IP, right? But they've really stuck to the cars, the quality of the driving, the tracks, and the visuals. Need for Speed went through a whole bunch of things. Like they had Hot Pursuit variations, they had these underground or heat storyline games, community type gaming, and there was so many different variations that it's hard to pinpoint which specific one you want to go towards. You know what I would compare it to? I compare it to how like somebody says, if you have a YouTube channel and you have a whole bunch of different content, the algorithm doesn't know where to place you, so it gets confused. Like, I feel like that's what happens with the consumer when it comes to Need for Speed. There's so many different types of games to play every year. It doesn't just have that target market. And while car game enthusiast is the target market, there still is a particular path that they like to stay on, or a track, pun intended, that they like to go down, Because of that, I think maybe that has something to do with it. And Gran Turismo, they take, quite honestly, so long between releases that they never really establish a foothold in the market. Only one you're really left with is Forza, and they do an amazing job. I mean, visuals for those games are amazing, but I will say this. I think there's a resurgence for a few reasons. When you look at simulator games, American Truck Driver Simulator, Motorcycle Simulator, Car Mechanic Simulator, like all these simulator games, combined with the games that I've already mentioned, connected to the peripherals that are really popular nowadays, additionally connected to content creators that are creating short form content, there is a resurgence in race car games. Because I can go to IG, I go to Instagram, and I'll see some content creator with their big screen TV or LCD screen, their monitor, and they got their steering wheel connected to their PC desk or their gaming desk, and they got the pedal and they got the levers, and they're just driving. And I mean, some of them got the big rigs, and you see these popular streamers, they got the whole racing car rig. There's such a resurgence because of those things that I think it's prime real estate right now to just get back out there and make the IP that everybody loves, the racing, and just keep it going. It doesn't have to be ultra grand with so many different features and variables. As long as you got good customization, you got good tracks, and you got good visuals, man, that's all that matters. People just want to drive around. Like, I'm going to tell you the one that could have it sold up year after year. And to me, that is, and honestly, all they really need to do is probably release one IP and just have updates. It's like Need for Speed, right? Or not Need for Speed, No Man's Sky, where they should have continuous updates. And that game is The Crew. I think if The Crew, because they have the entire US, right? Well, what if they have a DLC or The Crew 3, which now has the world map? So you can actually drive in Europe, you can drive in China, you can drive in Japan, all over the place, and then maybe there's some crazy mod that like somebody builds a track that lets you drive across the Atlantic or the Pacific Ocean. That would be dope, right? That right there in itself sews up the market, and the desire for that type of content is out there when you look at social media. But if they keep trying to reinvent the wheel like Need for Speed does, like, your IP is not going to go nowhere. And then the other thing too is I feel like publishers really sleep on these games, and when they see that it doesn't get the return on investment, they're like, okay, well, we're gonna just put the kibosh, we're gonna just squash it, kind of like what happened with Project Cars. Project Cars was like, everybody gives that rave reviews, yet they decided, nope, we're gonna just cancel it, and that's gonna be the end of it, because we want to focus on Star Wars and Marvel video games. I mean, look how many Star Wars games that they've announced. Look how many Marvel games they've announced. Yet they decide to get rid of their one car game that, that can really set the trend. That's what I really think. I think that driving games need that love. I love driving games. I remember when Forza Horizon 5 came out, I pre-ordered that limited edition controller. Man, I got that controller. It sits on one of my speakers on my PC desk, and I love that thing. That thing is amazing. I got Gran Turismo Sport. You know, those were just games that I appreciated because I think maybe at a point in time when I didn't have a car, that was my car, you know, whatever car I wanted in all these games. I mean, hell, even on GTA, you know, I get those off-brand car names like Toyota, Corolla, or whatever the names were. But yeah, driving games absolutely need love too, you know, and I think they get the love. Maybe I'm only speaking for myself because I don't play them enough, but I do still appreciate their presence in the gaming space, and I just want to see more of a variety. I think if you have 3 or 4 strong IP, you know, 3 or 4 strong brands of driving games, that's all you need. You know, you got the simulators, you got Forza, Crew, Need for Speed, and Gran Turismo. I think if you have those right there, it's sewed up. You have a good selection to pick from, and occasionally you get those one-offs that come out that kind of change the game a little bit, but they do it just enough to where it sparks interest, but not changes the whole landscape, which causes these other creators to do different things. Because then I think that's when it starts to affect the genre as a whole. But anyways, what do y'all think? Do you think that driving games just need to be squashed and nobody really cares about them? Do you think that they have an absolute presence in the game industry? What do you think? Let me know in a review of the episode. Make sure you go to Good Pods, follow me, or subscribe on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Episode 30, I want to say thank you, y'all. This has been a fun ride, a fun experience. I enjoy doing this podcast. This is probably still one of my favorite podcasts to do. This one is the one that I just enjoy. I enjoy this one, and I hope y'all enjoy it. I plan to bring y'all some more great episodes. And like I always say, y'all, peace.